the Durham probe. Hillary Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussmann was acquitted on charges of lying to the FBI. Sussmann allegedly denied he was acting on behalf of any client and alerting the FBI to claims that a server linked Trump and a Moscow bank with ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Claims that have been debunked, in fact, by the FBI. One of the other big items that came out of the trial was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, Robbie Mook, testifying that Hillary personally approved the plan to share the fake Trump-Russia story with the press. Here to help us make sense of it all, Harvard Law Professor Emeritus Alan Dershowitz, also a Newsmax contributor. And be sure to check out his book, Cancel Culture, the latest attack on free speech and due process. Now, Professor, some time ago, I remember interviewing you on this topic, and you said something that I may misremember, or maybe I didn't understand the full context. I thought that you had said it's not even illegal to lie to the FBI. And maybe it depends on what kind of lie it might be, but I wanted to get your take on whether that's true and what you thought of this case.
Well, literally, that's true. It's not a crime to lie to the FBI or to lie under oath. It's only a crime if the lie is material. And one of the defenses, obviously, that was made was that the government already knew that Sussmann worked for Clinton in the Clinton campaign. So it was not a material lie. I once won a case on that theory a long time ago. But so I was not surprised at the verdict. Obviously, what upsets me much more than the Sussmann verdict is the unconstitutional indictment of Peter Navarro. Now, that's a real scandal. Here you have Peter Navarro, a guy who was in the White House, who invokes executive privilege, and he gets indicted without there even being a judicial order making him testify and resolving his claims. So, I mean, as a civil libertarian, I'm much more concerned about the indictment of Navarro than the acquittal of Sussmann, though I think Sussmann might very well have been convicted had the trial taken place in places other than where it took place and in front of jurors other than the jurors who acquitted him.
Right, because we're talking about Washington, D.C., full of Clinton voters and actually Clinton supporters on the jury. So let's go back to Navarro. Yeah, exactly. So let's go back to Navarro and educate us a little bit, because you're like two steps ahead of where I am on this. I understand January 6th committee, whether you like them or not, they're going to want to talk to Navarro. Navarro's saying, okay, wait a minute. We've seen Navarro basically say what his role was and what he was doing. So where is the problem that upsets you so much? Educate us a little bit.
Well, he has invoked a privilege. It's as if somebody was called to testify about what he told his priest or his doctor or his lawyer, and he invokes a privilege, and he immediately gets indicted. Instead of the government going before a court and saying, judge, rule whether or not the privilege applies. If you rule the privilege doesn't apply and order him to testify, then he can be held in contempt. But you cannot constitutionally be held in contempt of Congress without a judicial order. And if the shoe are on the other foot, and it will be on the other foot, if the Republicans gain control of Congress or the Senate, they will use this precedent and go after Biden administration officials and indict them if they refuse to disclose information. So this is dangerous to democracy, dangerous through the rule of law, and dangerous to the concept of privilege, whether it be a priest privilege or a doctor privilege, a lawyer privilege, or executive privilege. An extremely dangerous case, and I'm shocked that the Justice Department brought it without there being a judicial determination that he was compelled to testify.
And at the same time saying that Mark Meadows and Scavino are not going to be charged. How do you read that? Why was that the case?
Well, they could be under this theory. And I guess their argument is that they have a stronger case of executive privilege because obviously Mark Meadows was second in command in the White House, whereas Navarro had a more distant role, but that's for a court to decide. It's not for a partisan congressional committee that has almost all Democrats and a few anti-Trump Republicans on it to be able unilaterally to ask the Justice Department to enforce a subpoena without first going to the court. So it's a very, very dangerous precedent, and I don't think it will be allowed by the courts. I think when this indictment is challenged, the challenge will probably be upheld. But of course, in these days of partisan, even judicial decisions, one can't be absolutely certain. But it is wrong to indict him under these circumstances.
So to simplify this, you believe the DOJ is acting politically?
Lawlessly. I don't know if it's political, but it's lawless. I don't know whether it's partisan, but it's lawlessly. They first should go to a judge, get a judicial ruling. Then, when there's a judicial ruling and Navarro was told you have to testify, then he can make a decision to testify. But right now, he's not really free to testify. He's been told not to testify. Just like if I'm a lawyer and I'm called and asked, what did your client tell you? I have to say, I can't respond to that subpoena unless you get a court order. If you get a court order, then obviously I'm obliged to do it. But under this precedent, I could be indicted, or a rabbi or a priest or a doctor or a psychiatrist or a wife could be indicted if they claim privilege and the Congress didn't accept the privilege. This violates the separation of powers also. It gives Congress the power to decide what's privileged rather than the judiciary. So it's a dangerous precedent.
And they put him in cuffs, which, is that really necessary? Professor Dershowitz?
Absolutely not. You don't put people in cuffs under those circumstances. Of course not.
Exactly.
That's political. Yeah.
All right. Professor Dershowitz, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.